Trustees to order. First order of business is to establish that we have a quorum, and I think today we can probably say we have a full board present. That's nice. Good to see everybody again. I hope you're coping with the heat wave. Tomorrow we'll have some nice temperatures, supposedly. Do we have any guest speakers today, Mr. Tuttle? Did the gentleman that we had talked about come? Or
no, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's take a minute, not a minute, but a few moments for some private meditation. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I think everyone has a copy in their hand. If you've had time to peruse it, just let us know if you have any objections or if there's anything needs to be omitted or something you would like to add to the agenda. We'll pause for a second, give everyone a chance to look at it again. No comments at this time? Okay, do we have a motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Neil and a second by Shannon. Don? Dolores, a second by Dolores to approve the minutes for this meeting as written. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay, the agenda is approved. We have a guest today, the consulting architect, I think. Is Danelle here?
No, sir. That's me.
Oh, you're Danelle today.
I'm Danelle.
I noticed you were hugging everyone, Joe.
Yeah.
That's nice. Do you want to get ahead? Well, we'll do that later.
Yeah.
Okay? If that's okay with everybody, we'll just do that a little later. We've already called the meeting in order. We need to approval of the agenda. We did that. And let's go ahead now. I'm sorry, Joan, I got a little ahead of myself there. The approval of the minutes, I think everyone received in advance a copy of the previous board minutes. And if there's any corrections that need to be made, any additions that have to be made, you can say so now. If not, we'll approve the minutes without exception. Are there any exceptions? Okay, the minutes for the previous meeting are approved without exception. We also have a second meeting that was held, which had to do with the Ethics Commission, the final test of the, what do they call it? Sexual harassment class, which I'm happy to say everyone passed as far as I know. And that meeting was adjourned with the last person leaving the room, which was me. And do we have any objections to accepting the minutes to that meeting? None? Okay, the minutes to the special meeting for the State Ethics Commission are also approved. We have, I don't believe, any unfinished business. Do any board members recognize any business that we conducted last time that was unfinished or a prior meeting? I don't believe so, so we'll go right on into new business. And this is where we'll have Mr. Tuttle speak, and that will be the Architectural Selection Committee. John and I have talked about this. John, would you fill everybody in on what we have to do?
As you know, we've started our capital improvement program, and we are dividing it into several sections. As you know, we have our part-time branches, which we are, doesn't have anything to do with this, but I'll give you a quick update. Our applications are about completed and let you know the final language, and then we have to let the city attorney glance over to make sure that all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and periods are put in the proper place. And so that is moving forward. Our very first meeting with one of the town's villages is coming up August 5th, I believe. We'll be meeting with the Belford Village, and we'll be moving forward with all of those meetings shortly. Now, as far as our full-time branches go, it is time to start selecting architects. And what we are asking today is, I'm actually suggesting, if you've read the memo that went out in your packet on the architect selection process, the capital projects. As you know, we divided them into 2 phases, and then inside of each one of these phases, we're trying to group them together geographically so that when someone bids on those projects, they'll be able to work on them closely together. And at this time, we need a group of individuals to actually, once we get all the bids in and the package from all the architects, we need to select them in the interviewing process. We are looking at this time to ask several of you to be on that committee to represent the public. We're also looking at several staff members to be on that committee, including me, and I am going to throw Deonce out there, since she's part of public services. She should be one of the staff members on that committee, and we'll probably take another person from public services to sit on that. Yes, ma'am.
Have you selected your board members yet, or?
No, ma'am, that's what we're talking about today. Okay. But, and therefore, and then we want to include Danelle. This is very similar to the process we used last time when we built all the branches back during the 90s and the aughts. How far, when was the last one completed? So, the first one started in what, 90?
Process started 96.
Okay, so it took almost a decade to get them all completed. We're hoping that this won't take nearly that long. So, at this time, Mr. Teddy, I'll throw it on to you.
No, I would just like to make a comment
Okay.
to some of the others.
What I do is get a question,
What?
what I do is tell them, ask questions.
Turn on your light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Then ask your question, and I will make a comment about the selection process.
I think I want to make a comment too about it. Okay. My selection process is that, it's the minority selection and women-owned business. And we I mean, when y'all send it out to everybody. I'm going to do that.
Follow the standard process for
What is the
putting
standard
it.
process?
Susan, what's the standard process?
It goes up there, to everybody, anybody and everybody can get on that and see it, so.
Okay, but you put it in the newspaper that you're looking for office, or well, what time you do that? That's what I'm saying.
The city
Your
does that.
notification.
The city's purchasing department does that, and I believe that they have to advertise it in the newspaper, and then there's a computer site, and then they also have physical packets that someone can pick out, they have a scoreboard and options, and someone can look and see all the bids. It is broadly, widely broadcast.
But they select, or either, I'm trying to keep up with you, John. You said that we're gonna ask someone, people to get on the public and.
Our committee here that
Okay.
we select today, well, once we get all that information in and let's use an example previously. Say all the architects that wanted to bid on Broadmoor, you may get 20 packets that come in from the architects, and then we will decide our criteria, and then we sit down and grade each one of those, and then once we get our top 2, 3, 4, 5 that we want to look at, then we bring them in for interviews, and we actually do an interview, and then once we've completed that interview, then we would go forward and select that architect based on, it's just like any standard job interview. So,
I just want to make a comment, John, since you and I had already talked about this. I think you're looking for 3 board members to represent this committee, and Ms. Hicks has already volunteered to be on it. The questions I wanted you to address, if you will, one thing I want to make clear is that none of this, the architect selection process has anything to do with the part-time branches. That direct money was allocated, so this has nothing to do with the architects working with the part-time branches. The other thing I'd like everybody to know about before they make a commitment is how many meetings you think that this may entail, where would the meetings generally be held, and what would be the duration of the meetings, an hour, or 2, or 3. And I think that way we'll find out 2 other people that may choose to volunteer.
location, I would think that we would do all of them here. Durations, I don't know. This crowd has been known to ask a lot of questions, so a 30-minute meeting could run 90 minutes. So I would just generally say, when we look at it, we will try and make sure everybody's schedule is accommodated who's on them. And as far, third part?
How many members of the board you wanted? 3, right?
3 would be fine.
Okay. Do we have any other volunteers at this point? Oh, Jim, there's
No,
sorry. Neil was first.
we got more
We
volunteers.
got two volunteers. Okay. And Dolores, you got three volunteers. Yeah, Jim, I'm sorry.
This is very similar to the way we did it the last time. Now, I can't answer that we can do it exactly the same way, but last time, we put out a call for architects interested in all the projects in phase one. There were 4 projects in that one, there were 5 in phase 2. At that point, they could apply for one, all of them, or whatever. But we didn't go do one on Broadway, and then go do one on the downtown, or do one on Atkins, or whatever. All the ones that were in the phase, we interviewed the architects, and we interviewed most of, I think, the architects that showed interest. And normally, the architects would be notified in the area for sure. But we even had some from New Orleans that applied and stuff like that as well. So I think the city does a good job of notifying, putting it out in print or whatever way, but also I think they were contacted personally. I'm not exactly sure what we can do or how to run it. I hope we don't have to have I think we got 7 projects in the first phase or something like that. That we don't have to have 7 different groups of meetings, because that would be real burden.
Thank you. Don, see the lights on.
This is under the auspices of the city, correct? This process is going to be run by the city.
Yes.
Okay, so I think to Ms. Bell's point, the fair share program will ensure that minority-owned, women-owned businesses will be notified.
Good, Jim.
The fair share program is not involved. The library is not involved in the fair share.
That is
program.
strictly for the city. They only run that through the, but
But when we send something for an RFP or request for qualifications, they do notify the city council members as a courtesy, and they notify the fair share office. So everybody gets notified in that way.
And we had a very good selection last time, group. We had minority women, we had blacks, we had everybody, and we should be able to get that again, I think. The question is we would like to group these projects so we wouldn't have to work with 7 different architects at one time. But again, the city does set some parameters in their purchasing and stuff like that, but it's really different from the city's process in that everything goes through their architect for that, in that group, but it doesn't for us.
I still have a concern, okay? I think, you say, and now if this under the city, and you don't use the fair share, or how can that happen in the city?
Fair share.
They got 2 different,
Fair share is a program of the city of Shreveport and their employees and their departments. Shreveport Memorial Library is not a department of the city of
Okay,
Shreveport.
I understand.
They are our fiscal agent though.
yeah, I understand that, okay, now, I understand. But there is there is minority participation. Well, I want to make sure that the minority participation be notified. The women-owned business, white, black, green, or whatever color, that you have that list, where they will be sent. And I do think the minority, if I'm not mistaken, that Donald may know this, that don't they have a organization that we can, just make sure they're contacted or something. But anyway, I just want to make sure that everybody is involved, because you're right, a long time ago, I don't think you was on then, we did have some problems, and I just don't want us to come up to that situation again, that we didn't use this person, that person, it was a fair thing. And when you said y'all gonna notify the city council and stuff like that, that we'll be doing this. But I just want to make sure that we are fair with it, and that everybody knows. It's up to them if they want to. And I'm just not saying minority by itself. I'm talking about women-owned business.
But while we don't necessarily have to follow that, we're not under that umbrella, that doesn't mean that we don't.
Okay, I got you. Okay, that's okay. That's fine.
We have 3 volunteers right now, according to my records, Ms. Dolores, Mr. Neal, and Ms. Shannon will be the 3 volunteers. John, just by way of information, when do you expect the first meeting of this committee would likely take place?
Probably August sometime.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Just so they can kind of look at their schedules. And, I'm sure they'll be notified in ample time.
We'll let Kathy start digging into the calendars and find us a few open dates.
Okay. Okay, any other questions regarding this matter? Yeah. We do have one, okay.
Okay. Now, I heard, the first phase. The first phase, 7 projects, heard that? Now, this committee, this one committee will be handling all phases.
Correct.
Okay. And this committee will be the committee making selection of the architect.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and just so you know, this is a multi-year commitment to this committee because phase 1 to phase 2 will take several years.
Okay. Looking-
When do we expect the request for proposals to go out, the request for architects?
I would hope before the end of the year. To give you any better deadline than that, except for, I'm going to throw it out there and say, we hope to have it all completed and running up by the end of the year.
Ms. Dottie?
You said this committee, they will make a selection, the committee that you formed together with our board members to represent us. They will decide, say, okay, this architect firm, are you not gonna bring it back to the board or just,
Oh, no, I believe the committee should bring it before the board.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
We get a chance to look and see what y'all,
Did you say that in the memo?
y'all bring to the board.
Doesn't say that.
It doesn't say it, but that's how we should work.
Yeah, but they'll come from the board, and then vote, then you'll vote on it.
Right. Just like any other committee, ad hoc or otherwise.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's it. What do you have now? Joseph?
So, Janelle, that's right?
Correct.
She's gonna be acting as consultant or what?
Yes, ma'am. You have her on
For
board
the committee.
for the committee.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tucker, we appreciate that. I think we got all the information we need, and we have a very good committee. The next item on the agenda, item 6B, is a proposed revision of the sex offender regulation policy. I think everybody has a copy of that in front of them, and if you review it and all, you can see there's only one actual, on page 7, deletion in the current policy. And I'll go ahead and start. I did ask this question, Mr. Tucker said, bring it up at the meeting. I said, that's always been the policy to have some type of notification at the facility. Why are we taking that away? That's only my question. Why are we not going to have that?
And I didn't have a good answer for that one, so I'm going to turn it over to the person who does it, Ms. Sutton.
Okay, so really this item is referring to the hours of the children's program. And so that information is not posted at every entrance at the entrance of every branch. So what we're trying to make sure that we are complying, and we'd like to remove that and just say that the schedule is available online. Since I've been reading it, maybe that's what that last sentence of the item should say. A schedule is available online.
My question to Jordan was, I said, that's great that you have a schedule online, but if someone is a sex offender and they don't go online to check the schedule at the library, to me, it just seemed like something that was still worthwhile having posted, that you're not supposed to be visiting the library. That was my only point. And
Yes,
how do we make sure that they know that schedule?
Well, I was just gonna say, the regulation is visible, it's on our monitors, and we have some signage, and we don't know who is a sex offender. We only find it out by, if they ask for a guest pass or something, and we look at an ID, and then at that point, we can say, well, you can't be in this branch because you know, our children's program is going on at this time and so forth and so on, however the policy applies.
So it's inside the library on monitors and so forth, that they would see that after entering
The regulation and policy.
the regulation policy.
But also, since we have increased programming 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times the amount when this was originally done, all of our peak hours, I make the argument that every hour we're open is almost peak hour for children's programming of some sort, especially during the summertime. So all we're doing is, and that's all we're doing is, we used to have to put up a little sign that says, this children's program is going on now. Well, we have children's programs going on almost all the time now. So all we're saying is, it's on the sex offender, not on us, to take a look at our website, make sure that they're not in violation of their parole.
Okay. Mr. Lawrence?
Okay, I'm pro putting it at the end of the library, because it's online, it's on the monitor. And I was in the library 3 hours, maybe longer, Saturday. And I didn't ever look at the monitor. So, just because you're in there doesn't mean that they'll pick the library.
Well, the schedule of the children's program is not on the monitor. I'm saying that the sex offender regulation policy is on the monitor.
So, the no sex offender at number 2 is on mine? The no
This
sex-
information, yeah, the information from the policy is on the monitor, not the program. And that's what I'm saying. The item 3 speaks to the time that the programs are being held. And we have a lot of programs at different times of the day, and I'm afraid that staff members it would be a lot. They may forget to take something down, put something up. So to protect ourselves, I was willing to reword that last item, just so that the public knows that the hours of the children's programs are available online.
Again, we're just putting the burden on the sex offender as opposed to our staff having to put the notice up. But nowadays, we define it here, a student sits during the school years 10 to 6:30 all day, but with the programming going as it is nowadays, we can have children programming in any time, and it's on them, not us.
Ms. Hicks?
I think Beyonce answered my question. It's very clear whenever I'm going to a branch, that on the monitor and but you're right, it would be, real burden to have to change that out, especially in the summertime.
And then if you would accidentally leave it up when there's not,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of issues that might go on there, liability issues.
I did want to ask, Mr. Chair, have there been any problems?
No, I think an area manager was reviewing the policy with the new manager and brought this to my attention that we're not posting the programs in every, some branches may do it if they're not having, for example, maybe a part-time branch because they don't have as many, but just to protect us as a whole, I think it's better to word it that way.
Thank you, Anthony. You can answer my question anytime.
Okay, if there's no other questions, and this is a change in policy, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Yes.
Second. Okay, we have a motion from Shannon, a second from Dolores to make the changes to the, let's see what do we call it, sex offender policy? Sex offender regulation policy by deleting on item 2 at the entrance of the library facility. All in favor? All opposed? No, okay. No change. Thank you for all of the input on that, because I wasn't quite sure why it was coming off. I understand now. Thank you, George. Thank you, George. And now, item C, 6C, will be the proposed revision of the library travel procedure. Really, after talking again with John, it's on page 10 of the proposed library travel policy and procedures. Proposed revision for today, July 22nd, 2019. It's all in red. That's the only change that's being proposed. We'll take a look at that And it more or less satisfies, if you read everything with the ethics commission, that you're not doing a lot of travel with somebody else's money as a favor to you. Shannon, Ms. Hicks?
I did have a note, on page 11 that I made, where it says taxis. I know a lot of times in cities, I'm taking Ubers or Lyfts. Is there a way to put like ride share or some other language in there that makes that something that we can do? I think the same language is on page 13.
What did you have over here?
Taxis and other
Taxis.
local transportation is what she is saying.
Yeah.
And it should read the same way on page 11. Taxis
11 and
other local
13, yes.
transportation.
I mean, just, I almost never take a taxi. I'm always trying to get an Uber or something, because it's just safer for me. I know for employees and other board members, that might be something that they do.
So,
Did you catch
So
it?
you would,
Okay.
you wanted to put it also on page 11?
11, where it says taxis, et cetera, receipts are required for reimbursement of the actual cost of public ground transportation, which,
Yes,
public may need
change
to,
that.
since it's not really public, that public, where public properly should come out, but if you just take out, actually, I think what'll work is if you just take out public.
Read like that.
So it would read taxes, et cetera, receipts are required for the reimbursement of the actual cost of ground transportation used in connection with approved business travel.
So we'll change the header to say taxis and other local ground transportation and take out the word public here on page 11.
I would just say local public transportation, local ground transportation, I'll just say. Because that also would cover if you take a shuttle from the airport, actually. And the same on page 13.
That could be the same on 11 and 13.
Let's see, you would, I think you would probably need to say local ground transportation will be reimbursed at actual cost, blah, blah, blah. And then the header would be local ground transportation. That's what I'm suggesting.
Okay, Neil?
Since we're changing other stuff, the first page of paragraph it says authorization, the director's travel shall be. What should be?
Where are you?
It's nice to have grammarians on the board.
the travel, the director travel
First
should be
page,
approved.
authorization,
So take the shoulds and
the
call it
director's travel shall be.
I got it. Neil, got it. Tom, you got the Lord.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm making my corrections. See who's first. I think the Lord
Laura
first.
Okay.
Okay, back to Shannon, with taxes, et cetera. I think the et cetera covers Uber and this and all that, because I've used it before and I didn't have a problem getting the reimbursement. However, when you delete public ground transportation, then to me that means that I can take it somewhere, write your receipt, and report what to pay for. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be, does not have to be in public or a business, when you say the actual cost of ground transportation,
Regulated?
regulated. See,
I don't
that's
like
what I'm
that
saying
word.
is that I could have someone take me to the airport or what
Not
have you.
regulated.
And, you know, someone that maybe not, might be an official person, but what do you call it, road money or something like that, and then they do it on the side. It's like, you go up in town market,
Well, no, I would-
pick you up and take you somewhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't do
No, but I would, my assumption would be that if we're gonna be reimbursed, that the reimbursement should be limited to things that are legit and have a paper trail. Cause I'm not taking no straight line to kind of market.
No, I'm just saying when you do, I think the public was putting that for a reason.
to just make sure there's no, you know,
What's the state? Our
yeah,
member
no shade
licensed.
tree. They're licensed, yeah. But when you say taxes, et cetera, that covers a whole, gamut of.
Just like licensed transportation, that covers taxis, say licensed transportation, it covers taxis, you
License,
live.
yeah, we could say license,
Anything
or
else?
something like that in there. Yeah.
But we have a paper trail.
Well, yeah, well, and I know that, it's not gonna be approved once it's here, if somebody else other than a legitimate business takes some license.
Yeah, if you pay Don to take you to the airport and do the $10 city, I'm not gonna process that.
That's right, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, okay, and then another thing,
Okay.
and I wanted to mention this, okay, whether we change anything or not, I just wanted to mention that.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention that when you say, when would that ever happen? There are a lot of things that have come up that we never imagined that would ever have happened. So, that's, you know, that's why,
Well, I'm pretty sure federal and city regulations would require it to make something that's licensed.
right.
And
Yeah.
Susan Fortenberg just made that clear with this hot desk.
Yeah, and, but you do see that taxes, et cetera, will cover a gamut of other transportation needs. I also, and this might not be changed either, but it is a concern of mine, is that when I'm traveling and when I go to the airport, I don't have a brother, sister, a relative to take me to the airport. So I'm going to take an Uber or a taxi, and I'm going to have a receipt for that. So I really don't understand that we can have a receipt from a legitimate source, such as a taxi or Uber, showing that they did in fact take us to the airport at the designated time that we needed to be there, while we can't be reimbursed for that as well. Now, that might be a city thing, you know, rather than our thing, but I know that I did have Uber receipts showing that I went to the airport to catch my flight, but it was ineligible for
You're
reimbursement.
saying you were denied?
It was my receipt to the airport was denied, yes.
Was this recently?
My last trip.
I'm not sure, but it seems like there's a federal law against that.
It's probably in the same way as work when we're going to, for example, our first, location of the day for work, we can't, you know, we can't claim any travel on it, so maybe this is the way to look at it.
I don't think so, though. It's not work.
I mean, it's work related, the travel would be work related, so.
I have a statement concerning that, I believe it came from the city.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to mention it. There might be nothing change, and then again, there might be something that can be done. But I wanted to bring that up.
Good. Okay, we have, is that all?
Yeah, I have to. Number one is that, I'm traveling, so a lot of country. But what is the cost per meal and all of that? Do you have a list? I can have a list of that. You can spend it like, for the school board, we can spend like, we go out.
We use the beds per diem.
Yeah, I like to them, I like to know how much is, you spend on meals and stuff like that. But I'd like to have a list. Is what they said on
You have to go online.
GSA.
And they do what? Can you just get it to me, please, because we going
Well,
online?
it's kind of complicated depending on which city, but yeah. we can
Yeah,
talk
that's what I'm
about
saying,
that.
calling what city?
Yeah,
Depends on the
it is.
city and the month.
And
You
the,
look up in the
yes,
chart.
and the month.
Just like San Francisco would be a higher reimbursement.
I mean, it's the same way with the school board, but they give us aid.
Always.
They will tell us what city we going to plan to, then what you spend that night, or something like that. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Same thing, that's what I'm talking about. But I know, I thought you had to set the price. The next thing, y'all wait for some, what I think. Oh, is this, deal with, I think it's here a long time ago. But it might not even be in this end. The per diem that we use when we come to meet, I never been using those. You know, like, y'all pay us for travel.
Yes,
Do this fall under this or not? It's a thing by itself?
it's about so.
Could I have a copy of that, please? When you get a chance, put that on your,
Sure.
I never filled it out, because I never. But I just want to know if that's probably still going, that we can do.
Yes.
So I think we kind of come a long way to being meals and whatnot. But anyway, okay.
Okay.
All the stuff.
Yeah, well, let's
And then
check.
I think that, the reason I'm saying that fill that out. And is it possible to do it like every 6 months we do it, or every month, or what, you know?
We do a quarter.
Quarterly,
Quarterly.
but they keep up with it. Now, I got to remember from the date, when I left home, come in here, I got to put the date down and all that.
Yeah, you gotta put your mileage and all, you gotta have a little notebook, if you turn that in without
I
mileage.
get the notebook that be hanging in my car. I guess that's what put in my car, but I can't
I
put
keep
that.
a little note down on the
A little
dashboard.
notepad or something, huh?
They won't tell.
I guess I can do that, okay. I just wonder was that still under this, or you just another, can I have a copy of that too, if you don't mind?
Okay, exactly.
Okay, that's fine.
You could just tell Siri to write it down for you. You could do it that way.
And one other
Okay,
thing-
you want some,
And one other thing.
one other thing,
Uh-huh.
Kathy Tumanello.
About that travel, the city often looks on the map quest to figure from point A to point B, and if you put in there that you've got much more than that, they will reject it. And that's to stop you from making extra trips here or there in between, or further than you've gone. Take note of that.
Okay, anybody else? Dolores, you have another? No. Okay. You have something else, Ms. Dottie? or no?
Oh.
Okay, well, here's what we'd like to do before we take the motion, unless you have something else. Kathy, would you mind reading back to us all of the changes that we're proposing before someone makes a motion in the different sections on page 9, 10, 11? Not 9, but 10, 11.
Okay, now, I have, first of all, on my sheet here, I have under authorization, the director's travel shall be approved instead of should be approved.
Okay,
On page 11, I have where, it has been recommended that we change it to taxis and other local transportation. Also, it's been recommended to change the reimbursement of actual cost of local ground transportation.
license.
License, and then there's also been mentioned license, and there's also been mentioned meeting in public, so that's something else.
Okay,
And,
License covers everything.
well, with that, replace public, this, and so, no local, no public, just license.
Correct.
yeah, we're we ready for a motion?
I just, I wanted to double check something before.
Okay, sure, let's do it.
Okay, Mr. Chair. So on 11, it would be licensed ground transportation. Dash, receipts are required for the reimbursement of the actual cost of licensed ground transportation used in connection with approved business travel. Is that how that would be? Okay, and then on 13, would it also be local licensed transportation or licensed ground transportation?
Okay, we had
Dash 13.
two more clarifications. One was on page 11, under taxis, et cetera. It'll actually be rephrased to taxi and other local transportation, and the word license will be added before ground. Is it?
Yes, and then I have, a question because this is a usual policy language that last sentence, travelers are encouraged to utilize public transportation whenever feasible. Should that be in the policy or does what we say above that cover that? Because we say use, and the use of taxis.
Right.
We should probably take out taxis, use of licensed ground transportation.
Right. And then on page 12, I think you added licensed ground transportation again. Right.
Oh, 11. At 11 and 13.
On 13, I'm sorry. We had licensed ground transportation again. And those two changes are in addition to what Kathy just read off. Are we all in agreement now, pretty much? Does anybody else have anything else they would like to review? Do we need Kathy to read the whole thing again? which might not be a bad idea. Kathy, if you're ready, would you go ahead?
On the first page, page 10, we're replacing the word should under authorization, the director's passage shall be approved by the board president. And then on the next page, we have taxes and et cetera. We're going to change that to taxes and other local,
Transportation.
license, ground.
Well, why don't we go ahead and be futuristic and just, on the off chance hovercraft come up the table, we don't have to do it again. We just say license.
That's what we have, licensed ground transportation. Could be a hoverboard.
And so in that first sentence there, it will say receipts required for the reimbursement of the actual cost of licensed transportation.
Should we add local to that?
Yeah, because I don't want you calling the Chicago guys.
You like to hop a helicopter?
No. You can't go from Madison to Chicago without
Can't even take an emergency ride in helicopter. Okay, Kathy, that's good. Okay, I think we all got that. No, wait a minute.
One more petty thing, if we're doing shall, there are 3 shalls, and under authorization, the last sentence also says all travel expenditures. It currently says should be in accordance. That should also be shall, shouldn't it?
First paragraph also has a bunch of shoulds. That's right,
Just go ahead and replace all should with shall.
Very good.
That's very good.
Thank you, Kathy.
Now, I must say, I thought this was going to be the easiest one, but that didn't happen.
You want to type it up and send it out so we can review it?
Yes, I'll make the changes and send it to you.
But you don't want a decision today. I think we'd like to do
If you
that.
would like to table it for the next meeting, that's fine. If not, go ahead.
I think we've got it.
I'll make the motion to accept the changes as discussed for the proposed library travel policy and procedures.
Okay, we have a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, my life is on the big one.
Oh, okay.
It was on for-
We have a motion to accept.
And it was just for clarification. Where on page 11, where it said taxes and other local transportation. Is that, you said that's gonna be taxes and other local transportation, or?
Taxes and licensed transportation, and
And then
other
we use-
licensed transportation.
And then we use license again in that statement? That's redundant, but.
I think that's there, though.
You think that's it?
That was just a clarification, if I'm not mistaken, there was no change there, it was just clarification. We have a motion right now before the board to accept all of the changes that have been stated by Kathy Tumanelli, and she read back, which is also, by the way, inclusive of the travel wording on page 10 that's in red. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second from Neil. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay, we have an agreement on travel policy changes. Great.
I'm sorry, I'll get it seconds.
Neil. Okay, item 6D. I think everyone is aware that the board has the responsibility of, not the president, of appointing the nominating committee, an ad hoc nominating committee with 3 members. Now, we all know who, all of you know who served last year as part of the nomination committee. So rather than call people this year and ask if they were interested, I'd like to see if we can get a show of hands of 3 that would be willing to serve on the nominating committee. And everybody has served at one time.
And then who's on the next year?
You were last year.
I wasn't on.
You were last year.
I was.
Don, I think you were last year.
Just those 3.
Okay, Dolores, would you consider, if the board approves, of being on the nominating committee? Neil, would you approve? And who else? Josephine? You won last year.
We thought, Joe and I thought we were, maybe.
Donnie, you won last year?
I
take it this year?
I'll take it to you.
Okay, we have 3 people that have volunteered. Do we have a motion to accept these 3?
So moved.
Okay, Don moved to approve these 3. We have a second from Ms. Hicks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Just keep this in mind. You don't really have to have your appointments for the next meeting. The next meeting will be in September. The last meeting of the year will be November. But this will give you some time to think about it. Let people have an opportunity to express their desires to serve. Okay, we have the
I have, number one, it's time to let the small.
It will be short.
It only lasts for a year.
Yes.
Okay. I believe in change sometimes. Maybe I can bring this up after the next, at least they need to serve 2 years, y'all. I'm talking about we change. Maybe I just bring that up, after we get, I guess, through this one, huh? But to me, I think the person needs to be in there 2 years at least. But that's just me, though, but,
That has been tradition, but it's strictly
That's part,
tradition.
yeah, that's part of our bylaws. And
yeah, but we can change bylaws sometime, we just vote.
Change it.
Is that the law of the land? Okay.
I don't think so.
Is the law of the land?
Kathy, you had something you wanted to add?
Can't do what Tim is saying?
Not the law of the land.
It's not the law of the land.
It was not the law of that. You could change that. The board can vote to change that policy.
Huh? To me, it's just not enough time.
Well,
I didn't know it was time to do it. We don't meet that many times, no way.
This is always gets reelected.
Well, we can do that, but I want to be on the book. I want to be legally
Got it.
done.
Kathy has some
Come on, Kathy, say
information
something to me.
brought up that might be interesting about this.
It used to be 2 years for the president, and we noticed that in the state library's issue of these library trustees manual, that it states in there 1 year, it's shown in 1 year. So we changed it back to 1 year.
Because of the
And
state.
this was recently done, it wasn't done like ages ago.
But that's, I
I
mean,
think you did
because
that
of the state.
when I first got here.
Yeah.
But I still say things can be changed.
Do something.
And this board can change some things if they want to, right? I'm just saying, but regards, I'm not trying to do it this year, but I will be bringing it up next year, 2020. And we need y'all to vote me down or up, but I think that a person, we don't meet but every quarter, about 4 or 5 times a year. You see what I'm saying? I can see if we were doing it, but I just think that we need to consider that. So I'll bring it up.
Ms. Bell, are you volunteering to be our?
No, look, I'm gonna tell you this.
What?
My board, volunteer to be what?
It will be 5 years.
No. And look, and I do not want to hold a office, I'll tell you that right now, it's the 10 cents. But I just think that a person needs to be in it at least because we don't meet a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
Ms. Judy was teasing just now, but somebody may say, 2 years, let's make it 5.
Say what? Oh, no, they won't do that. But I'm just saying, I'm going to consider that after we make this election.
Okay, we'll address that right after the first of the year.
Yeah, I think we need to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
And I don't want
Morris?
no office.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, that we, as Kathy said, we just, when, about the time John came, that's when we changed it. We just need, and we changed it based on the rationale that Kathy said. We just kind of need to make up our minds what we want to do, because this is something that we don't just really need to be flip-flopping on. You know, if we decide to change it again, we just need to make sure that's what we want to do.
That's what I'm saying, and the first of the year, I will bring up and I read the rationale for it, okay?
Well, there's a couple of things to consider there. Number one, if you say a 2-year term, can that person serve 2 or 3 consecutive 2-year terms, or is there going to be a limit of 2 terms? So it's something that really
We
needs
need
to
to
be
just talk about it.
discussed, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Neal?
Well, the question is, if the state library board, wherever the title says it shall be 1 year, what are the consequences for us not following that? What's the policy? That's the question.
And then I also think, Neil, that even in our policy, if I'm not mistaken, that we can't, that it does say that you can be reelected for X number of consecutive
The
years.
list stands now.
Yeah, and I, and personally, I think maybe, well, as you said, there are pros and cons for both.
Yeah, now, I'll be ready. Right
Okay.
now.
Go ahead, Mr.
Okay, I think the 1 year will give each person on this board the opportunity of this responsibility, but I did not know that it had been changed by the state that it was 1 year. So if that's the case, we need to do what the state is asking of boards. A survey 1 year, and it was still, well, she just said it was, came out every
I don't think it's mandated by the state.
It's not that, I mean, and that's, the state might mandate that.
month. Is that not what you said?
It's a recommendation of the state.
Recommendation.
Right.
Okay, so I think it's a good thing. Certainly,
Okay.
let everybody on the board have the opportunity to take their responsibility. It's a little responsibility.
Okay, Kathy, you had something else you wanted to add? Okay, obviously, this is something that needs to be placed on the agenda.
Yes.
For another time, because there's a lot of discussion to be had here. But I would like to just reiterate what was just stated. I was aware that the state library system had made a recommendation, but it is not a mandate. We through our own bylaws, we can decide whether we want it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or can it be reoccurring consecutive years, et cetera, et cetera. But we have a lot of good comments here, and it's something we can bring up right after, as you said, Ms. Dottie, the first of the year. So if that's okay with everybody, we'll move on. Kathy, you had something else to add?
There's a motion on the floor, it's not been.
Oh, yes, we have a motion on the
And
floor.
at the same time, please repeat the
Yes.
motion on
Go ahead, would you repeat it?
Dottie, Neil,
And Dolores. Dottie, Neal, and Dolores will be the members appointed by the board for the ad-hoc committee. We have a motion and we have a second. Okay, all in favor of aye, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No, the ayes have it. We have ourselves a nominating committee. Next item on the agenda, item 7, the first person up is Mr. Tuggle to give the director's update.
Well, I'm sorry to say that my class at the ALA conference in Washington, D.C. on joke telling, obviously,
What is it?
I told my joke, folks.
Yes,
Anyway, just to highlight some of the items on my director's report. We did complete our yearly financial and AUP audit, Carr, Briggs, and Ingram. We will have a representative here next meeting to give you a rundown of any and answer any questions you might have. I can give you a heads up in that there were no fines of any sort as far as the financial audit goes. And those findings for the AUPs were minor, and we will have that discussion. I have met with Lisa Cronin, who's just recently been added to the board of the Community Foundation. She's also the executive director of Common Ground, and we are working on some possible community partnerships in the Cedar Grove, Atkins neighborhoods area. I, along with another member, several people in this room, I got the chance to participate in Greenwood Acres Full Gospel Baptist Church Eagle Camp. It was wonderful. Dottie Bell, hats off to you for helping put that together. It was a great program. 2 items, since Jenny's not here to tell you about them, I will tell you that we are starting what is called SML University, and it is a project and training and development coordinator for emergent leaders. We are taking the city's leadership program one step further and doing our own. We've already had over a dozen applicants for the first semester. And one last thing, if you didn't get a chance to participate, we hope you will next year, but the HR department and facility staff hosted our staff training and cookout, and most fun was had by all. I will just quickly point out, Samantha, everybody got a second quarter statistical report? The best thing about this, other than the smiling child here on page 3 doing yoga, that doesn't grab you, I don't know what will. Our circulation statistics trending upward, yay! So we're happy about that. And as far as the budget goes, we're at the end of June, we were 50% halfway through the year, and everything is doing quite well. Utilities is down substantially, which is a good thing as far as I'm concerned, because we're probably making up for it this month. And let's see, insurance, we will be talking with Dana this week, so that 1% that we paid on our insurance will be at 100% soon. So everything is in order, all is going well. Any questions?
I see, Dottie.
Yeah, now I just want to add on to about the career festival. I want to apologize. I know those ladies said they got a letter over here. Did you didn't receive a letter?
I just got
A cute
mine
little letter that
today
said,
at work.
invite me. I owe you an apology, but everybody else did receive one, right?
You
Okay,
actually kind of owe me one too, because it went to
I
my
did.
work and not mine.
and that's what you had on this here.
Oh, okay.
I went by the list, the address there. That you had. You didn't get one? Okay, but make sure you will, but thank you all for coming and tell y'all ate real good, we fed you.
It was delicious,
It was
but it's
delicious.
more fun talking with you.
And also look at the newspaper, Sunday paper, Maggie Martin featured them in the paper yesterday, so you see what you mean, so try next year. Thank you.
Very much.
Shannon?
Neil was there,
I was there.
Neil was
I
there.
enjoyed it.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
When we will be on this next year.
Ms. Bell is too modest to mention this, but she did this every year when she was at Turner. And I remember in my former life, I participated as, I guess, a lawyer. When it was at Louisiana Exhibit Museum, but it is a tremendous, tremendous event, and that she takes this and does this with kids is amazing because she gets them ready, and she has high expectations, as I'm sure we all know. But it's a great event, so if you can go next year, which I would have been had I gotten my letter, Ms. Dottie, it's amazing.
Anybody else? Okay, before we move on, I would just like to comment, John, on page 15, item 2D, congratulations for being sworn in as a board member of the Rotary. Congratulations.
That's where I was just before I finished the board meeting today. Thank you.
Rotary, go on.
You've been there.
That's great.
Okay, next item on the agenda, item 7B is public service updates.
Stated in my report, the operating hours for heating box will change effective July 5th. The new hours are included in the report. Summer reading and summer feeding will come to a close next Wednesday. Chef Owen Osborne did visit the David Rains Ranch, and it's my understanding that Representative Barbara Norton also attended, and she presented him with a proclamation. I don't know the details of that, but I do know that she was there and she did that. And then you see the upcoming Tough Topics programs that will be taking place in some of the branches, as well as the Tough Topics posters that are displayed in some of the branches. And we are interviewing for the City Road Line Avenue branch manager position on tomorrow. That's it.
Any comments? Shannon?
Okay, I've taken part in a lot of summer programming since I've been off for the summer. Y'all, you're missing out on a lot of fun if you do not go to the library and do some of these programs. They are fun and free. Oh my gosh. Tell all your friends. But I wanted to compliment the Tough Topics. I am on a lot of librarian websites, well, Facebook pages, and so somebody shared the picture that y'all took of the Tough Topics and the Dewey, and it's been posted on a lot of like national, like somebody other than Shreve shared it. So I was like, that's my library. So just to shout that out, and I think that's really good because people need that more than you can imagine. I would love to see that in the kids like section too, because kids probably kind of need that.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Shannon. Anybody else have a comment or question? Okay, we'll go to the last item on the agenda, which is Ms. Susan Fortenberry to bring us up to date. Oh, no, it's not the last item, the financial services risk management update.
We hired Nathan Selber, who's last week when we started, so it's feet on the ground. And one thing we did for safety is added a panic button installation of branches. So how it works is if there were to be an emergency issue, they can discreetly flip the switch the company to contact the police without calling back and saying, hey, you don't have a problem, and try to do all that. It's like a rate teller situation, so, we're excited about that. And then, we're spending a lot of weeks working on the audit, 2 audits, and we're finally doing those, so. That's my.
That's great. I like the panic button installation project. That's fantastic. Anybody have any comments or questions? Ms. Winberry? Okay, the last item on the agenda is the ad hoc Streetville Memorial Library Board Foundation Committee report, and I'll give them us some answers.
Okay, I think, Kathy passed out our update for this meeting. You guys have it. If not, I'm gonna read it real quickly. Luckily for us, though, a lot of groundwork was already laid previously for Street Memorial Library Foundation. So I was able to get those articles of incorporation reinstated with the Secretary of State. So the foundation has been recognized as an independent organization. We have our certificate of incorporation. We received it July 3rd. The foundation board has met a couple of times, and they have revised the mission of the foundation to read: the Street Memorial Library Foundation Incorporated is an independent organization dedicated to soliciting resources to allow the Street Memorial Library system to reach its full potential to serve the residents of Shreveport and Catacapt. The goal of the corporation is to provide resources for programs and services to enrich and enhance the system beyond those provided by public funds. Believing that the library is the true heart of the literary community, the foundation also seeks to support early literacy and lifelong learning. And that was taken from the purpose that was created previously. They kind of read over that and tweaked it so that it was a little bit more succinct. There's still a little bit more tweaking to be done to it, but right now that's the mission. So they are setting up priorities to do fundraising for the library system, as well as raising awareness for services that the library offers to promote early literacy and lifelong learning. The foundation board has set to meet the 3rd Thursday of every other month, and the next meeting of the foundation board will be September 19th at 3:30. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Give them a little chance to digest it, but let's see.
We're moving in the
The
right
third Thursday
direction.
of every other month?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us right now? I can't remember the composition of the board.
Right now, we have 7 board members. Guard Waite is president. Neil Johnson, not this Neil Johnson, but a different Neil Johnson, is vice president. Kathy Smith is serving as treasurer. I serve as the secretary, and the staff liaison. I guess that's my official title to the foundation. Other members include Andy Sheehy, Dr. Rella Brazil, Francis McGinnis, and Betsy Rose. And we are still recruiting additional members to serve on the board as well.
Okay, great. I have no questions, Mr. President. Anyone want to go right? We thank you for that update. We look forward to the report after their first meeting addressing some of the things regarding lifelong learning and all of the other activities. And how much money they're raising by whom.
Yes.
I'll be interested in hearing that. Does anybody else have any business to bring before the board?
Okay, it's miscellaneous. I mean, I don't know, if I get this call about 2 or 3 times. My name is the lady, this lady's an older lady. I guess Melanie, she visited the library downtown. I'm thinking that she might have a computer or something. But anyway, she called me and she said, Ms. Bell, I said, you're gonna go with her. She said, now, y'all have a security guard inside. But I'm just nervous when I go down there and all the people sitting around the library. I said, now, we don't own the city, sweet baby. I tell her that. But she was saying right at the door, and you know how they sit around? So she said, well, what can y'all do? Because she said, I'm an older lady, and I am scared, but I need to use the library. I don't know if she lived downtown or close by. So I was wondering also, I know we don't have no jurisdiction over what's outside, but I'm saying the building. She was talking about, she explained, she said even like the parking area of the building, you know, you park and go up into the building. She said it'd be a lot of innocent people be out there. So what do you do about that now?
I would just say that the liability and legal issues there are very complex, and before I would say anything further, I'd like to talk with my attorney. At that point, it's very complicated. And it's not an easy solution. And I've had discussions with the Downtown Development Authority, the mayor's office, and the police department about how we can handle that. But again, there are no easy solutions at all.
Not only are they outside, but they are inside, they use the library, so.
But there's a policeman inside, isn't it?
Security guard.
Yes, security guard.
Well, policemen doing, in the evening hours. and the
Yeah.
security guard.
She said she was already coming into the library, officer, walking to the.
Curious question, if a patron were to ask the security guard to walk them to their car, are they allowed to do that?
I don't believe so.
I wouldn't say so downtown, no.
Yeah.
Just curious. Something to look into again. Okay. Anybody else have anything to bring before the board? If not, we want everybody to enjoy the cool morning tomorrow. We will accept, we would now like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, we got it from Julia this time, the motion to adjourn, and Neil, the second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
If y'all haven't seen a movie in public, I think it's on your email, you can see it.
What's the name?
Oh, is it on
The
DVD now?
public, I
Because
think
it was
so.
here.